Come on, let's give it up one more time for all of our award recipients today. All of them. Now, don't leave just yet. We're getting toward offering time, so I know that some have to leave, but we're going to pass the collection plate soon. That's what they would say at my church. I'm Jermaine Reed. I'm a city council member here in Kansas City, Missouri, and also a board member of the Mid-America Regional Council, and also a dual role as a board member at the National League of Cities. And so it certainly gives me great honor today to be able to introduce to some and our executive director of the National League of Cities and our keynote speaker for this luncheon today. Mr. Clarence Anthony, the CEO and executive director of the National League of Cities, the largest organization that is representing America's cities across cities and leaders in the United States Capitol. Mr. Anthony has a long history in public service. He has earned a master's degree in public administration from Florida Atlantic University, and also he understands this role of elected office because he served as the mayor of a city for 24 years of South Bay, Florida, a small town just about 80 miles outside of Miami. As mayor, he focused on educational and economic opportunities for residents, including building the city's first library. And during his time in office, he served as president of the Florida League of Cities and was the president of National League of Cities as well in 1998 and 1999. When he left office, he still focused his career on making local government better by working in the private sector and first also managing the United Cities and Local Governments, and he also formed his own firm, the Anthony Government Solutions Firm. Makes sense. It was out there, your name, Clarence. He also joined the National League of Cities as the executive director in 2013. And under his leadership, the National League of Cities has advanced its policies and expanded local control and funding opportunity and programs for public safety, infrastructure, transformation, and sustainability. I have certainly, on a personal note, enjoyed getting to know Clarence over my time on the board of directors for the National League of Cities over the past 4 years. He certainly taught me a lot about leadership and taught me a lot about just being able to serve in the role to make a difference in the lives of so many people. And so I asked him, what is it that you want me to say when I introduce you? He said, keep it short. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Clarence Anthony, the National League of Cities Executive Director.
Thank you very much, Jermaine, for that introduction, and I appreciate sincerely the opportunity to be here. Jermaine is on our board at the national level, and he's worked tirelessly, and Troy I've known, a city manager as well. My first announcement is I'm here and I'm running for mayor of Kansas City. I had to do that. I was waiting all day to do that. God, that was funny. Let me tell you, though, I did get the call from David and the letter and the emails and the calls from Jermaine. And actually, when I had this opportunity to come here and speak to you, it reflected on my career because my first job was at a regional planning council, Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. And could you have imagined 50 years ago, David, when Mark was created, that the founders really thought about putting together an organization that would think about regional training, regional education, regional governance, coordination around issues that are important like economic development, job creation, and actually helping to develop initiatives from cradle also to the 65s and over group that somebody referred to earlier. Who could have imagined that you would be here today and you would still have that same mission and we would still need to do the same work that we're doing? But what I want to help you imagine about today is not today, but the next 50 years. Because that's what we're thinking about on a regional level. That's what we need to think about. And the opportunity is clearly here because you have been successful. Under the leadership of Carol and other members of the board of directors, you have been successful. So how do we take advantage of that success of improving transportation and preparing our region for technology in terms of looking at and being environmental stewards? Because we can build, but we also have to recognize that we need to preserve the quality of life that we have. That in our region, we need to look at the talent that we have and say that, yes, innovation is amazing, and we need innovation in our region here. But we also need skills that are technical in nature, making sure that we have plumbers and folks that are air conditioned, the basic skills that all of us on a daily basis look around to provide services to us. So as we look at what we've done over the last 50 years and the future, I also think you need to take a moment to celebrate that there's very few regions that have local governments, philanthropic organizations, private sector investments, as well as community-based investments, all working together to make your community better, your region better. And oftentimes we are so critical of ourselves as leaders in our cities or our county and in our regions that, oh, it's so bad here. This is not good. I travel around America, and I will tell you that there's only one thing is perfect in our lives. Don't work for perfection. Work toward excellence. That is what you want. If you keep focusing on trying to be perfect, you won't get to that excellence that we are all looking for. You all have an amazing region. It's an excellent region. So I made a decision to come because I wanted to learn about how you did what you did as a region working with Mark. But I also wanted to share with you that there's a lot that needs to continue to be done, and there are some difficult roads ahead for all of us as Americans. But looking at Mark and its mission and function, I want to make sure I say it is also more important now than ever. So Jermaine talked about the fact that in 1984, I returned from grad school, and I decided, I went to a city commission meeting and talked to Mom, and I said to my mom, the community has changed since I was here. There's drugs been sold on your street, and what's happening? Is anybody in the city doing anything about it? She said, no, it's gotten worse. So I went to a city commission meeting, and I got up under the 3 minutes that every mayor and county commission chair hates on the public comments. My name is Clarence Anthony, and I live at 300 Southeast 4th here, and I have a problem I'd like to talk to you about. The mayor said, of course. So I explained to him that drugs were being sold on the street where my mom lives, and he nodded. Commissioners, some of them were taking notes. And he said, Mr. Anthony, we have a lot of things going on in our city, and we just don't have time to deal with your mom's issue. So that was the start of my political career. Now, you can tell me no, but you can't talk about telling mama. I'm the baby, right? That's mama. So I sat down and I told a friend of mine sitting there, I said, that's unacceptable. I'm going to run for office. I ran. I won by a mandate of 33 votes. That's a mandate. One vote is a mandate. And I got that issue solved related to what was happening on the streets there. But within about a month, the city manager came to me and gave me the budget and said that you need to set the ad valorem tax rate. Are you going to use rollback rates? How are we going to finance the needs in the water and wastewater? I was overwhelmed because the easy part is getting elected. The difficult part is governing. The easy part is getting elected. The difficult part is governing. So as we look at our role and responsibility, whether you are a council member, county commissioner, mayor, Mark provides so much infrastructure for this region that we got to continue to push it. We got to continue to make sure we elevate our game because our citizens deserve the best, the most qualified, intellectually prepared elected officials. It is not time now in our region to back off of some of the tough things that we're going to have to be dealing with. So I want to talk about 4 quick things that I see happening around America. The first is infrastructure, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of commitment to infrastructure. The way we define infrastructure, it includes roads, bridges, it includes water, wastewater, it includes broadband as well. And it also includes connectivity to the workforce. You know, these systems are important all over America, and they're more important here as you have taken on not only from a roads and bridges perspective, but an intermodal perspective as well. But we have a $2 trillion deficit in regards to investment. And at the National League of Cities, what we're trying to do is to get Congress and the administration to focus on helping you regionally to fund some of your needs. Now again, celebration. When I read about commitment to an investment, when I read about the Buck O'Neill Bridge, the $200 million that you guys needed, and you said that we're not going to wait around for anyone else to fund it. We're going to work with our state partners. We're going to work with our regional partners. We're going to put all of us in this room, we're going to put money in it to make sure that we match that $100 million. That's amazing what you all have achieved. It's amazing recognition of the importance of transportation. But when I look at transportation, you probably look at it as, again, the bridges or the roads. I look at it as jobs. I look at it as opportunities to train people for jobs. I look at it, the opportunities to create small and minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses. I look at it as an opportunity for kids to be able to say, I can stay here. I look at it as an opportunity for the engineering firms that are located here. Black & Veatch, HNTB, HDR. All of those companies want to invest in infrastructure. They want to invest in your counties. They want to invest in our region. So when we look at infrastructure, let's put a face on infrastructure. If that infrastructure, those roads are not safe, the bridges are not safe, your children aren't safe. You're transporting your family on these roads and bridges. We have to continue to fight to get infrastructure funded in America. Now, the second issue clearly, and the board of directors heard me talk about this a little bit, is the issue of opioid, heroin, drug overdose in America. And it's not just an issue in other parts like the Northeast, like Florida, where I'm from. The opioid, heroin overdose is affecting 64,000 people every year. 64,000 people every year. It's affecting families. It's affecting our ability to get employees. It's infecting homelessness in our cities and counties. In 2016, 42,000 deaths was caused by opioid overdose. In 2018, 64,000. It's not getting any better. In Missouri, there are 3 opioid overdoses every single day. And Kansas is not that far behind. We can avoid acknowledging that we have that challenge in our region. But I will tell you, the data that I have about the region, that is one of the issues I hope that you would sit back and regionally talk about how you're going to address the opioid challenge. I think it's somewhere around a lack of hope. There's something happening in America that people are going to these substances for something. I wish I had the answer. But every day when I fly around, I see articles about the faces of opioids, the faces of drugs. And we have to, in this room, not pretend it doesn't exist. Talk to your police departments, your EMS, your morgues, your hospital. Get the data that is happening in your county, your city, and your region. If we don't do anything about this issue, a lot of the issues that we're talking about won't even matter. It won't matter because we won't have a qualified workforce and we won't have a family that we can rely on. I get passionate about this one more than anything because I see it all the time. And I get emotional because I think we are ignoring that issue. The third is the issue of housing. There is a lack of affordable, available, accessible housing in America right now. And as your region starts to develop in your downtowns all over your region, people are going to want to move back downtown. We're going to want our kids to come back from college for jobs. Right now in Washington, D.C., a 769 square feet apartment is about $2,500 a month. I know you may say that's just Washington, D.C., but it's happening all over America. And our kids deserve better. We need to study and come up with some ideas of how we could address the housing needs in our region. And it has to be on a regional basis. Because if one city starts to deal with it and the other city have a lower price and people start moving here and there, then it's not going to be solved. Prices of homes in the suburbs are skyrocketing just like the houses in the urban communities. Now, the fourth issue that I think is challenging us all over America, and that is the issue of race relations. It is not an issue that is comfortable. I don't like talking about it. It hurts as well. But what I'm seeing when I travel is the fact that we're not having conversations. We're not comfortable with having conversations. We're not recognizing that diversity and inclusion is a value of America that is amazing, that I enjoy and that I love. We're not as patient with each other around the issue, and we're not learning and listening. If we're going to be the region that is going to not be a flyover region, but we're going to be a region where you stop and you invest, we got to make sure that everybody in that region has an investment opportunity. We got to make sure that and I heard it a couple of times, David said, that people consider this home. If you don't feel respected, and if you don't have a voice, and if you can't get a job because of your gender, race, that's not home. That's just a place that you drive through every day. So as leaders, when you ran for office, these are 4 issues that I challenge you to deal with in your community. You didn't ask for these, but when you raised your hand to say, I do swear by whatever to lead this community, you got to be uncomfortable with the tough issues. You got to step up and grab these issues. This is what we need now in local leadership. So those are 4 issues that I see that we got to deal with. But there are a couple of things that we as public policy leaders also need to acknowledge. One, there is an expectation that we're going to do more with less. Our citizens' impatience around the fact that increasing taxes, assessments, they don't want to hear that. They want more with less. Secondly, the preemption of local authority from the state level is increasing all over America. Thirdly, and I got to say this to my elected colleagues, the lack of civility on the dais of America is sometimes embarrassing. The manner in which we speak to each other hurts our opportunity to recruit companies. It embarrasses us in front of our kids. It hurts our bond ratings because nobody wants to come to an unstable community. So that lack of civility has got to be changed, and we have to respect each other's opinions because the citizens say, if they can't get along, what do they expect from us? And finally, the social media. Oh my gosh, Twitter, Facebook is going to be a challenge to leadership for us. And the campaigns are so ugly now because of technology. It's not technology. It's the people and how they use the social media. So local leadership, we have these issues, but we're also challenged by those outside variables. But you know what? This region has overcome all of those challenges. This region is in an amazing place. And the more I read about the bridge and Buck O'Neill, I could visualize that bridge representing a connection between the North and South and how we all can find a way to come together and continue to come together, whether you're philanthropic, whether you're corporate, whether you're local governments, state governments. And if we could do that, that point of excellence that I visualized for our region can clearly be achieved. So as I leave here today, there was a quote that Buck O'Neill said. He said, "Do a little showboating every now and again in your life, remembering it was the so-so ball players that came up with the word showboating." It was the so-so ball players. They were jealous, he said. If you have something to show, go ahead and showboat a little. Now, I'm a former elected official. I believe that. You got the showboat. If you do something great and it's not in the paper, it didn't happen. Just didn't happen. So Kansas City region, y'all need to showboat about the blessings that you have, about the industries that you have, about the talent of your kids, about the transportation system that you're trying to put together. The fact that you're addressing early childhood education to aging, to environmental issues, transportation issues. I want you guys to showboat, because when you do that, people will recognize that the heartland of our nation is clearly the heartland of our nation. And this is the place that you would want to be in the future. And this is the place that we want our children to come to back to when they go to college. So it's time now, and I'm very impatient. I know the board probably saw that with me today. We don't have time for elected officials and private sector and philanthropic organization, the chambers, not to get in the game. This is the time now that we have to get in the game. This is the time now that our citizens deserve the best at the local level. We do not control the national level, but we control our local vision. We need a partner in Washington, but we truly need leaders here on the local level. I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and you guys have a great rest of the day. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clarence. I really appreciated your comments on excellence. I think we spend a lot of time around here comparing ourselves all the time to everybody else and on all these lists, and maybe we just need to really focus on being excellent, and the ratings will come. Well, we've been inspired. All the awards are gone, so it must be time to go home. So have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us.